poverty, and promise for innovative educational programs. I admire both of these individuals for the courage they have shown as academic leaders and for their innovative approach to that leadership and their dedication to searching for success with new models of education and the application of that knowledge to their programs. So they have dedicated efforts. They use the power of the institutional base to address the issues of no poverty in the world. As moderator, I've asked each of the panelists to take maybe 10, 12 minutes to share their ideas and experiences that may be transformational in achieving no poverty, and that'll give us time then for Q&A toward the end of the session. And we limited the number so we would have ample time for them to interact with each other as they need to, and for you to ask questions and participate in this discussion. Let me introduce each of these speakers, and I will introduce them in the order that I will then ask them to make brief presentations. Dr. Mesfin Bezuneh is an economist at Clark Atlanta University. He has extensive international experience in African countries and in the Caribbean. While serving as a member of BIFAD, the Board on International Food and Agricultural Development, I kept hearing references to this fabulous and innovative program of Young African Leaders Initiative, a new program that had been initiated by then President Barack Obama. And the very exciting example that always got brought up was this innovative program at Clark Atlanta University, led by Dr. Mesfin Bezuneh. Well, when I heard that, I have to tell you, I burst with pride, and I humbly offered that Mesfin Bezuneh was my PhD student at Virginia Tech. So I was familiar with much of his excellent path-breaking work that he had undertaken, first with an NSF grant in the Baringo district of Kenya, examining a food for work program that very much addressed the issue of extreme poverty. Mesfin's a well-trained researcher, administrator, having served as department chair of economics at Clark Atlanta, and a scholar dedicated to finding new approaches to improve the global human development. Mesfin will be sharing with us his approach to leading the Young African Leaders Initiative program, demonstrating the power of Clark Atlanta University to be innovative in making this a very distinguished program. Our next speaker will be John Sexton. John Sexton is President Emeritus at New York University. He continues to provide intellectual leadership and quality teaching at NYU, in New York, in Abu Dhabi, in Shanghai. In fact, he does all those in the same semester, amazingly. After completing 15 years as president of NYU, during which time he built NYU into a powerhouse of a research university with an intellectual presence in American higher education, during which time NYU was also named a dream school 4 times by Princeton Review. He wrote a book that had an effect on me, published in 2013, called Baseball as a Road to God. It was delightful. It should be read by every baseball fan, and it should challenge even the most serious theologian. John Sexton was a distinguished dean of the law school at NYU and has served as CEO of the Catalyst Foundation for Universal Education and chair now of the University of the People President's Council. I gained enormous respect for Dr. Sexton while we worked together as leaders of our institutions in the Association of American Universities, the AAU. We always shared a common vision in many ways for the global role of higher education. And at his invitation, I had the good opportunity to visit with him on campus in New York, and to travel with him to see the great work that New York University is doing in Abu Dhabi. And I can tell you that sitting in one of his undergraduate classes is an exciting intellectual adventure that further opened my own eyes to the transformative role that teachers play in our institutions of higher education. John Sexton will give us a sense of what is possible if our dreams are sufficiently embracing of what is good and disallows what is not acceptable for our society, conditions such as poverty. If it can be done, John Sexton can be counted on to mark a pathway and help us develop a roadmap. We are really eager to hear more. We'll begin with Dr. Bezuneh's presentation. Mesfin, thank you for joining us. It's great to have you with us, and I turn the program over to you.
Thank you, Brady. Thank you very much. First of all, let me thank you for putting me first before John, because I will never try to go after him. So that is really, I'm happy about that. Well, it's good to see you, Brady. I have not seen you for a while, and Anne, I'm sure she's on the call. Hi, Anne. And I'm so happy. Thank you very much for inviting Clark Atlanta University and certainly myself to share our experiences on this recent project that we are said to have done well among other institutions. So I'm glad, I'm very happy to share our experiences with you and with Deaton's scholar on the call. I was reading your, I have my voice, you have to excuse me, I've been under the weather for a few days. I was reading your introduction letter to the Deaton Institute and the overall objective, which I have not paid attention, even though we have been invited for the last 3 years to participate. I don't think so we did. And I was so surprised how similar it is to the objectives and purposes of this program we have been running, the Yali Young African Leaders Initiative. It is very close, so I'm very happy about that. So let me see. Could I share a PowerPoint? Is Holly there? Could I share something?
Yes.
Holly, could I share? I have, let me see.
Let me.
Allow me to share.
Okay, you should be able to share now.
Okay. Can you see something? Can you see anything?
I
Do you
can't
see
yet.
Okay. Is it okay? All right. Okay. This is the Mandela Washington Fellowship. I have a few slides I will use, but I just want to just briefly give you a little background about this Young African Leaders Initiative. In 2010, I think President Obama invited African leaders back in Washington, and there was a discussion. I'm in charge, and I want to do something. And these leaders basically came up and after 2 days meeting that we want you to educate our young Africans, young leaders. Education was the emphasis in all the, I believe there were 12 young leaders participated in that session in 2010. And the idea was actually what is it for? What is it that you want us to train? So the group, the Obama administration, what is it you want us to train? Most of these leaders, they came up with these 3 areas that they want the young leaders from Africa to be trained, hopefully in the US. And these are the area, the focus area: business entrepreneurship, public management, civic leadership. These were identified. So what happened, there is so many things in the background, but I'm going to jump those. And the question was, with the White House was driving this issue, and it was handed to State Department. And the question is that, fine, how are we going to implement this? So US institutions, all universities in the US were invited to develop what they could do in these areas for young leaders from Africa in these 3 areas. So it was open, and we universities proposed, saying that we are good in this or that. Usually, you have to apply in one track. You could do maybe more than one if you really think you have a lot of things that is required. And we applied. This was in 2014. So we applied, and I believe 20 institutions were selected. Based on this proposal, were selected to train African leaders in these areas. The question now, how the leaders were supposed to be selected? So US universities developed this program, and what we had to do, State Department actually reviewing proposal from institutions, and US Embassy, USAID in Africa were actually running competitively to select young leaders in Africa. And a couple of 2014, 2015, only 500 came, and there were over 100 applicants. So you can see the chances that actually the chances of being selected. So in the US, universities were selected, and some of you Deaton scholars, if you can test your map here in your state. These are the universities that were selected in the US to implement this program. And how you implement them? You will be given 25 fellows in your institution, and you have to do either business, entrepreneurship, or management. And these are a lot of institutions, higher institutions participate. In 2014 and 2015, there were 20, and then beyond that, until today, there are 28 institutions selected to implement this program. So what do we do in the program? So once we get this selected young leaders, they are called, President Obama named that program once they come to the US, the Mandela Washington Fellowship Program to honor President Nelson Mandela. So once each institution selected, get 25 of these fellows, we call them fellows, for 6 weeks. For 6 weeks, and what do? We do academic training, we do experiential training, and we make them community service, each of the areas. So the focus, Clark Atlanta, we were in business entrepreneurship. So we took 25 for the last 9 years. We do these 3 components once they get here. And of course, we have the social activities. So just a little background. Who comes from Africa? Who are they? Who are these people coming to participate? I have 3 fellows just to make a point, because this is highly competitive. This is Fatima from Nigeria. This is Eric from Kenya, Valerie from Ghana. Then very quickly, this lady, she organized unemployed women in northern Nigeria, and she started planting moringa, grow them, harvest them, actually selling them, oil seed and all other things, packing them, and make hundreds and hundreds of women to earn their own living. Eric, he developed a small machine to peel a banana, and then dry this banana, start making banana cereals, to start selling domestically, and now he's even exporting to China. Valerie, Ghana, she got this mobile toilet built and taking them to rural area when there is no indoor plumbing, absolutely not, putting them in houses, servicing them weekly. She had a grant from government and other grants. She was doing this in Ghana. This activity was part of their application. They were selected. So you can imagine, if you are selected in this program, you must have done something in the community, in yourself, is merit-based, but you must have the skill to really develop and contribute to your community. And that contribution, of course, exactly fit in to the theme of this conference, right? No hunger, no poverty. This are the example. So these are the type of people we have had to come. No, let me go back. Just let me go back a little more here. So let me just go back again, this academic training and professional Mandela lodging. So once we get them here, we have this training designed based on that business entrepreneurship focus. And then we have professional development experience so that once they finish those academic sessions, actually participate, work. And then we have this at the end of the summit, 6 weeks, we take them to Washington and they meet the congressional leaders, corporate partners, and so forth. So let me go back just a second here. Okay. Let me see. Just give me a second here. I lost one, two. Yeah, I want to just spend a few minutes here so that it's clearer, both the origin and the implementation. So this Yali program is all in Africa. It's called the Young African Leaders. Every country, as of today, have some form of Yali. So State Department, once we select the fellows come to the US, we call them the Mandela Washington Fellows. And then we do this, and then we have these regional leaders at US State Department and USAID have helped to put 4 regional centers in Africa to train not only those who are here, but also who applied to come here and never had the chance. So those are the regional centers. And the Yali Network. This is, I want to just say a little more about the Yali Network today have close to 1 million, I think it's about 700,000 followers since 2014. That everybody, this is a virtual technical support group, and all the Yalis participant in this program participate. And this was really originated and supported by other corporate partners, but also by USAID. So the Deaton scholar, I just hope, even now or just later, you Google, just go ask Google, what's the Yali Network? And you will see it. This is what I hope that if I say one important thing for this group, for the Deaton scholar, is this, that you guys have more time to absorb what is taught at the University of Missouri. We do it in 6 weeks. You should actually look at this and be able to do exactly the same thing like the Yali Network. It's very applied, and I hope you guys will follow this plan.
As I hate to, we better pull this to a close, or you just summary statement, and we'll go ahead with Dr.
Okay.
Sexton. Then we can have discussion.
Okay. Let's go to my summary session here. I have well, I think in summary that as you probably said, and I saw, I think in Brady's writing, all these efforts, the Yali efforts, it is nothing to do with anything else except to contribute to this UN development goal, which is ending hunger, ending food insecurity, and malnutrition. All of the efforts that all this training we do, when they go back, we're actually evaluating what they have done to their community in these areas. So this sessions is really timely and very consistent to what we do in Yali. Thank you, Brady.
Mesfin, thank you. And John, let me invite you to take as much time as you need. If you can just allow a couple of minutes at the end for any questions, we'll be in great shape. We definitely, everyone wants to hear you, so please proceed.
Well, first of all, it's a privilege to follow someone like Mesfin and hear about Yali and the Clark Atlanta program, because he's walking the walk as well as talking the talk. And that's a great place to begin. It doesn't surprise me, Brady, that you would have been inspired to give us that concrete example to start. I have to just take a point of personal privilege and tell you, from nearly halfway around the world, as you know, I'm in Abu Dhabi as we speak, but to tell you that it's an honor to be associated with anything that bears the Deaton name. I'm certain that of the hundreds that are participating in this conference, most know that Brady and Ann are a model, first of all, of an I-thou love affair to which we all should aspire. But secondly, and extremely relevant to the agenda, are models of a deep love for humanity that all of us should share. Let me just ease into the topic by starting off by describing the pillars of, as I education security. Those are the four pillars on which we have to build. Now this panel focuses on education. I want to officially declare, with all the power vested in me by Brady Deaton, I want to declare education as a no excuse zone, especially for those of us who are so privileged to be in higher education. This is just a no excuse zone. We know what we have to do. We control the dangers and obstacles. This is not a place where some new development is needed. There are two real dangers and obstacles here. The first is a lack of will, a simple lack of will. As we would say in Brooklyn, sitting on our duffs. And the second is a kind of invisible, maybe unconscious prejudice, which allows us to treat other people's children in ways that we would not treat our own. If we just use the simple test, is every child in the world given the opportunity for an education that I want my child to have, we could see that we control that obstacle. If we answer that yes, the obstacle's gone. If we answer it no, the obstacle is insurmountable. And we have all the tools to do it. One of the lessons we've learned, one of the lessons we're exhibiting right here is that we have now in technology a powerful tool to democratize education. And that means to identify talent. And if you have the kind of embracive love for humankind that Brady and Ann have, you understand that talent is distributed isomorphically in the world. It's not confined to certain geographical areas or ethnic or racial groups. It's distributed in the world. So through technology, we can identify the talent. And then we have to make sure that we not only provide through technology that broad base, but also that we allow every child in the world to have the opportunity to move up the ladder of quality suited for that child that we would want for our own child. The great thing about education is we know what we have to do. We can control the obstacles. We have all the tools. And the minute we start to reach out to people and provide them with education, provide them the tools for their advancement, we provide them with hope and with dignity at that moment. So now let's turn to the context in which we're operating here, specifically education. These are the numbers. There are 40 million children in the world right now of school age who will not see a teacher for a single day in their entire lives. There are another 350 million that no matter how talented they are, if they're as smart as Brady and Mesfin and Ann and John or anybody on this call, they don't have a shot at getting past the fourth grade because of where they live, to whom they were born, or the resources that are available in the relevant institutions. Think about that. That's nearly 400 million children who just don't have an opportunity to get beyond the fourth grade. Now, the United Nations has set a goal that by 2030, we're going to reach a healthy percentage of that and get them through primary and secondary education. But it's a disgrace that the goal is so low. This panel focuses on higher education. So let's focus on that. And let's not talk about those that don't get a shot to get to higher education. Let's talk about those who, against all these odds I've just described, manage to work their way through the obstacles that are there now because of our lack of will and our treating them differently. And they move through, and somehow they are today ready to go to college. There are tens of millions of them, and their talent has simply been undiscovered or unseen. And what's worse, these populations are going to grow. They're expected to double by 2050. But today, there are tens of millions. There are 125,000 Syrian refugee children presently in Jordan, Turkey, or Lebanon who are not getting a college education, who could thrive in college. And begin the list, the Ukraine, Afghanistan, Sub-Saharan Africa, the self-educated who made their way through primary and secondary education out of favelas in Brazil or the slums of India, on reservations in the United States, or the homeless in the United States. All of these, literally tens of millions, today, right now, are ready for higher education, and they're not being educated at all. So what should we do? What should the higher education community do? Well, I'm going to give you a few examples with which I've been involved or of which I know that show what can be done if an institution becomes committed. Brady asked me to talk about two in particular. I'm going to add at least one more, time permitting. The first two are examples where I've been directly involved, and I present them because they prove the proposition that talent is isomorphic, and if given a chance, it can thrive at the highest level. Start with NYU Abu Dhabi. Brady mentioned this. This is as thick, as comprehensive an education as one could imagine at the college and graduate school level. Hats off to Marion Westerman, presently the Vice Chancellor, who created it, Andrew Hamilton, the president of NYU, who has sustained it. This is a residential, fully integrated research university. It's a liberal arts college with now 2,000 undergraduates, with PhD programs, with professional schools, with research as good as going on in any university in the world. It is a portal through which students literally from around the world enter NYU and can then circulate among NYU's 3 portal campuses, New York, Abu Dhabi, and Shanghai, and 12 study away sites where the university is present. The students, the faculty, and the staff all circulate. It's like the circulatory system of the body. It's fully supported by the UAE government. So it is designed to educate the leadership of an integrated world community, and students are admitted after aggressive search, literally 1,000 scouts out around the world into the most remote areas, into those slums, into sub-Saharan Africa, into places where the light of educational searches generally doesn't shine, and they're brought and they're given full financial support. No loans required, all grants. It's highly selective. It's selective on most measures as any university in the world. A 4% acceptance rate, even though it's known to be selective. 90% return on office of admission. It just celebrated its 10th anniversary. It's already had 16 Rhodes Scholars. This is a unique student body, unique not least of which in the fact that before students are brought into Abu Dhabi for the interviews, nearly 20% of them have never been on a plane or more than 50 miles from home. And the student body, which represents 144 different countries, is dominantly from those who would not have been noticed, let alone given an opportunity in the established higher education of today. It's a noble experiment done by the government in Abu Dhabi and New York University in partnership, and it proves the proposition that there are bright people out there who can excel against any in the world. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, another example, also mentioned by Brady, is the University of the People. Here, hats off to the man who created it, Shai Rashab, its volunteer president. I am the volunteer chair of what's called the President's Council. It's 12 years old. It's an accredited American university. The deans and most of the administration are volunteers. There are literally thousands of volunteer faculty, small classes, never more than 24 in a class. You can maybe think of a class as having one student in each time zone, not that everyone does, but that's kind of an easy way to understand it. It's peer-to-peer learning, offering associate degrees, bachelor's degrees, and master's degrees. The undergraduate degrees are in business, computer science, health. There's an MBA, there's a master in education to teach the international baccalaureate curriculum in sub-Saharan Africa. Courses are 9 weeks. They have set curriculum. It's all supervised by one of the volunteer faculty. There is no tuition. So, and you are admitted if you have a high school graduation. There's a small exam fee at the end of each course, which is waived if you can't afford it. So it's affordable for any student in the world. And it wouldn't surprise you that there are now tens of thousands of students around the world, remote areas, 200 different countries, many, many refugees and displaced people. And partnerships. Now, here comes the point, So most of the people on this call would not send a child, unless there was some special circumstances, to the University of the People. It's a quality education, but most of us want a thicker education with some of the elements of NYU Abu Dhabi, rather than a University of the People education. So universities like Edinburgh, LIU, McGill, NYU, Yale, these universities now started using the University of the People as a search engine for talent. You want students from Rwanda? How many do you want? I can show you students that succeeded for a year in the University of the People. Take them as transfer students, and universities have now begun to do that. So that's a different model. The two ends of the spectrum. I'll give one more, because I want to save some time for questions. This will be recognizable. It's a wonderful place called the Asian University for Women. Hats off here to Kamal Ahmad, who founded it. I worked closely with him. I am an honorary graduate of the Asian University for Women. It specializes in bringing young women from its region, it's in Chittagong, Bangladesh, into a liberal arts college that gives them a quality residential education. And they have not only students from Bangladesh, they've just had a very dramatic escape in buses of 171 women from Afghanistan who've come back to campus. But that's only the most recent drama they've had. They've got 1,100 women from 18 countries from the region, 554 from Bangladesh, another 144 from Myanmar. Those two countries with Afghanistan are the largest numbers, but they're open and they're welcoming, and it's supported by higher education around the world and by funders around the world. So these are examples of what can be done. These are full college and graduate school educations. And it's for those who have made it through all the obstacles. Go back to the beginning. We're in a no excuse zone. We know what to do. We know to control the dangers and obstacles that could prevent us from doing it, and we have the tools to democratize education broadly, to identify those with talent and give them ladders up. There are literally tens of thousands of Einsteins out there. And never forget, Einstein was a refugee himself. Thank you.
John and Mesfin, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you both for just fantastic presentations. And most of our attendees at this conference are college students and faculty. And I would appreciate from either of you anything on tangible advice and recommendations to advance no poverty on their campuses. And John, you've said we know what to do as higher education, and no excuses. I love that theme. How do we develop the will, though? And are there some specific steps can be taken? Mesfin, you pointed to particular programs that students can begin to work on. John, at the student level, I'd appreciate a thought from each of you as we move toward the final session here. Anything you can do that gives advice and encouragement to our students on campuses to develop that will, find a way to take these next concrete steps. There's two fantastic contributions. Thank you. Mesfin, any thoughts from you?
Brady, from what we have seen in the last 8, 9 years with this Yali program is not what we have done for them, is what they do themselves, what is important. And one of the things they have done is that they build a network of all these young leaders together. And they meet virtually because of the technology. They meet virtually for technical and non-technical activities, seminars, conventions every year across Africa. So distance transportation is no longer a problem. So one of my that I advise the Deaton scholars and others is to build a network, a Deaton or a Deaton Institute network. And not only the semester, the course they take and the faculty, they take it from. I think it is very important what they do beyond some of these courses and advisors, mentors to follow through. So sustainability is very important. And that sustainability could be, of course, require leadership, taking steps from what I have seen.
Mesfin, thank you. John, turn to you.
I actually think there's a great deal that can be done by the people that are here. Mostly it's around either exemplifying or generating the will to act. I'll give you a couple of very quick examples. All of us are involved with higher education institutions. All of us understands the benefit to us of a diverse student body. There's a lot of conversation going on about diversity. I would press each institution involved in this conference to make a connection into organizations like the University of the People or the Asian University of Women, who have students out there who could benefit by being brought to our universities and fully matriculated with financial aid at our universities. Use the University of the People, use the Asian University of Women, use the Institute of International Education has a platform called PEER, P-E-E-R, the Platform for Emergency Education Response. Look on there for students. Use these as search engines and then develop resources so that you bring in even 4 or 5 because they will bring a viewpoint. But believe me, when you have a student in your community who has homeschooled himself in a tribal village in Ethiopia for elementary school and then has walked to the international school 3 days walking and said, give me your exam, and passes the exam, becomes their valedictorian, and then comes to a first-class university. In this case, he was in the founding class of NYU Abu Dhabi. That student goes on to do great things. And as you said in the opening, Brady, that student then goes back to that Ethiopian tribal village and creates schools. There's a multiplier effect. So there's that. And then there's for the individual to exemplify it. The faculty that are here, volunteer as faculty in these organizations. Volunteer to give an online course at the Asian University of Women in your area. And students, get behind pairing with students that don't have the good fortune you do. Just giving them moral support. There's so much to be done here. And the thing that irritates me is it's so easy for each of us to do it.
John and Mesfin, thank you so very much, and for that very impassioned plea that specifies very clearly the action that all of our listeners who are students and faculty in universities around this country, around the world, can take. Very, very inspiring. And I hope that we can follow up on this and let you both know what you have inspired and stimulated in terms of our audience today, because you've made a very clear pathway for action that can be taken that can truly make a difference among impoverished people of the world. So thank you for pointing to higher education as a vehicle. Maybe it's a road to God also, John, and you may already be writing that book. But thank you both, and I wish, let me, on behalf of everyone, say thanks so much and ask the audience to thank you for what you've done. I wish we had more time to explore more questions, but we'll be doing that throughout the conference. And you've certainly made a profound first step that will carry us all the way through, not just this conference, but into the future. Again, best of luck to all of you, to both of you, and thank you so much for being with us this morning. Take care.